What's up, YouTube? Kind of back here again for another video. Today we're going to be watching the day F1 changed forever. I believe it's the 2021 Abu Dhabi F1 race, the Grand Prix. I don't know, but today we're going to watch it and, we're going to find out. But without further ado, going to do it. All right, here we go.
Something happened that changed Formula One forever.
Forever.
Two of the greatest drivers, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, clashed in a race so intense that it left the world stunned. One final lap in Abu Dhabi decided not just a race, but the entire championship and the future of F1.
I gotta pause it right here, man. I'm really sad to see Lewis Hamilton not in his signature car anymore. Like, when I see him in that other car now, like, it feels like, I miss the old days.
One itself. How
Maybe
did
I'm
they
just
get
getting
to
old.
this moment? What happened on that wild day in Abu Dhabi? Stick around, because this is the story of the most dramatic, debated, and unforgettable day in F1 history. Before 2021, Max Verstappen wasn't seen as the guy to beat Hamilton. Yeah, he was super fast, like a rocket in his Red Bull, but Lewis was the king. He had 7 world titles, tied with Michael Schumacher, and he drove like he owned the track. Meanwhile, Max, he was known for being crazy aggressive and super talented, but still the young guy who hadn't won it all. The 2020 season was rough for Max. Lewis and Mercedes were just too good, winning almost every race. Max was out there fighting, grabbing podiums, even a win or two, but he was always stuck behind. Every time he got close, Lewis would just pull him away. It was tough, like really, really tough. The fans loved Lewis, the media called him unbeatable, and Max was just the kid trying to catch up. But Max was learning and getting ready to flip the race. The 2020 season had been a masterclass in Mercedes dominance. Lewis won his 7th title. Max's 2 victories in 2020 at the 70th anniversary Grand Prix and Abu Dhabi were flashes of brilliance, but they felt like consolation prizes. The gap between Red Bull and Mercedes seemed too big to close. Max, at just 23, was labeled as the future of F1, but the present, that belonged to Hamilton. Still, every podium and every overtake was making hatred in Max. But in 2021, everything changed. Max didn't just beat Hamilton, he outfought him. And then, in the final race, something so crazy happened, it changed F1 forever. This is the story of how Verstappen beat Hamilton and why that season changed this whole sport forever. The 2021 season was a war from the very first lap. Red Bull had spent the winter closing the gap, tweaking their car to match Mercedes' pace. Max came into the season hungrier than ever. The rivalry between him and Lewis wasn't just about podium, it was personal. Every race felt like a masterclass. It all started with Bahrain, the first race of the season. Hamilton made the better start. He overtook Verstappen into the first corner and took the lead. Verstappen tried to fight back later in the lap, diving down the inside into turn 6, but he locked up a little and pushed both cars wide. Hamilton ran off the track and rejoined ahead. Red Bull immediately got on the radio, saying Hamilton should give the place back, but race control decided that Hamilton had slowed enough and didn't gain a lasting advantage. The position stayed the same. Hamilton remained in front. From that point on, Hamilton started to control the race. He built a small gap and looked comfortable. Verstappen didn't
What is
have the
this
pace
sparks
to match
coming
him
up
on
behind
hard
them?
tires. Hamilton stayed calm.
I saw
and he
that when I
drove
went to
consistently. It was looking
the
like he
Dutch
was
Grand
heading
Prix
toward his
recently. I
8th
didn't know what
world
it
title.
was.
The Bahrain Grand Prix was a wake-up call for Red Bull. Max was fast, but Lewis's experience and Mercedes' strategy were still a step ahead. The race wasn't just about speed, it was about tire management, pit stop timing, and staying cool under pressure. Hamilton had mastered all 3, and he won. Max wasn't bothered. He took 2nd place and studied every moment of the race, knowing there were 22 more rounds to fight. The season became a seesaw battle at Imola. The 2nd race, Max struck back, winning in wet conditions that tested every driver's skill. Lewis fought hard but finished 2nd after a rare mistake, sliding off and losing time. Max was pushing Lewis to the limit, and the championship felt unreal. In Portugal and Spain, Hamilton hit back, winning both races with clinical precision. Max was right there, finishing 2nd each time, but the gap in the standings was growing. The media started to wonder, could Max keep up the pressure, or would Lewis's experience pull him ahead? Brazil was another turning point. Hamilton started near the back after penalties, but fought through the field to win. Max finished second, but was under investigation.
Damn,
for
he
running
gets second
Lewis
every
wide
time.
earlier in the
Jeez,
race.
man.
Nothing came of it, but it added more heat to the rivalry. Then came Monaco, a track where Red Bull traditionally excelled. Max delivered a masterclass, leading from pole to take his first win in the Principality. Lewis, shockingly, struggled, finishing 7th after a rare strategy blunder by Mercedes. For the first time, Max took the championship lead. The momentum was shifting, and the fans could feel it. The season's intensity went up in Azerbaijan. A chaotic race saw both drivers face setbacks. Max was leading comfortably until a tire blowout on the main straight sent him crashing out with just 5 laps to go. Lewis, poised to capitalize, made a rare error at the restart, locking up and finishing outside the points. Neither scored, but the drama showed how tight the margins were. Every race was critical, and neither driver could afford a single mistake. Then, with just a few laps to go, something unexpected happened. Nicholas Latifi crashed near the end of the lap. His car hit the barriers hard and the safety car was brought out. That changed everything. The gap between Hamilton and Verstappen disappeared. The safety car erased Lewis's lead, and Red Bull seized the moment. They brought Verstappen into the pits for fresh, soft tires. Mercedes chose to keep Hamilton out on his older, hard tires so he could hold track position. It was a position versus tire advantage. The tension was unbearable. It all came down to what the race director and race control would decide next. At first, there were lapped cars between Hamilton and Verstappen. Normally, all lapped cars would be told to overtake the safety car, but time was running out. Then, just before the final lap, race control allowed only the 5 lapped cars between Hamilton and Verstappen to unlap themselves. That decision put Verstappen right behind Hamilton for the final lap. It was a controversial
Oh, they
call,
knew what
one
they
that
were
sparked
doing.
endless debate. The rulebook
They
said
knew.
all lapped cars should unlap themselves or none at all. But race director Michael Masi made a snap decision to clear just enough cars to set up a one-lap showdown. When the safety car came in, Verstappen attacked immediately. He passed Hamilton into turn 5. Hamilton tried to fight back later in the lap, but Verstappen defended well and stayed in front. Max's fresh tires gave him the grip he needed, while Lewis's worn hards left him vulnerable. The move was clean, but the stakes were astronomical. The Yas Marina circuit erupted as Verstappen held the lead through the final corners. And just like that, Max Verstappen crossed the line as world champion.
Can only be won by one, and it's going Dutch in 2021. Max Verstappen, for the first time ever, is champion of the
Look at all
world.
It
those
was the
Dutch
first time
people,
he led
dude.
the entire race on the very last lap. The race ended, but the debate didn't. Mercedes filed 2 protests. They believed the way the race ended was not according to the rules. They argued that either all lapped cars should have been allowed to overtake or none at all, and that the race shouldn't have restarted so quickly. The FIA's decision to let only some lapped cars through seemed inconsistent, and Mercedes felt robbed. Hamilton had driven a near-perfect race, controlling the pace and managing his tires, only to lose it all in a single lap. But both protests were rejected. The officials upheld the result, and Verstappen was officially crowned champion. The fallout was immediate and aggressive. The decision divided fans. Some felt it was a thrilling end to a great season. Others felt it was unfair to Hamilton, who had led most of the race and driven almost perfectly. Even Lewis Hamilton went quiet after the race. He didn't speak much to the media. He congratulated Max, but then disappeared from the public eye for weeks. It looked like he was seriously thinking about his future in the sport. Lewis's silence spoke volumes. The man who had dominated F1 for nearly a decade, who had faced pressure and criticism with grace, seemed shaken. Rumors said that he might retire, that the trauma of losing an 8th title in such a controversial way was too much. In the days that followed, there was a lot of pressure on the FIA, the sport's governing body. They launched a full investigation into how the race was handled. Fans and even drivers demanded answers. The investigation took months, and the findings were damning. The result? Michael Masi, the race director who made the call, was removed from his position.
Oh,
The rules
wow.
around safety cars and race restarts were reviewed and changed to avoid the same situation in the future. The FIA introduced stricter protocols for lapped cars and safety car restarts, ensuring clearer guidelines for race control. But the result of the championship stayed the same. Max Verstappen was the 2021 Formula One World Champion. The aftermath of 2021 didn't end with the rule changes. The season's drama reshaped F1 totally. Max's victory wasn't just a personal victory, it marked the rise of Red Bull as a championship force. For years, Mercedes had been untouchable.
Once you get that first one, man, you get that confidence.
Max became the face of a new generation, a driver who combined raw talent with fearless aggression. His win inspired younger drivers and gave teams like Red Bull, McLaren, and Ferrari hope that the Mercedes dynasty could be challenged. For Lewis, the season didn't go as he planned. He returned in 2022, but the new regulations and a struggling Mercedes car meant he couldn't fight for the title. Yet his flexibility shone through. He kept racing, kept pushing, and remained a vocal leader in the sport. The 2021 loss didn't define him, but it added a new layer to his legacy. The champion who faced one of the most controversial defeats in F1 history and still came back. It was one of the most intense seasons in the sport's history, and in the end, it all came down to one lap. That final lap in Abu Dhabi wasn't just the climax of 2021. It was a turning point for Formula One. It exposed flaws in the sport's rulebook, forced the FIA to confront its own processes, and sparked a global conversation about fairness and competition. Whether people agreed with the final decision or not, the 2021 season changed Formula One. It forced the sport to rethink how rules are handled in big moments. It showed how fine the margins can be at the top level, that nothing in F1 is predictable until the very last lap. If you enjoyed this controversy...
Damn, man. I really didn't know about that, dude, because I got into F1 probably in 2023, and I wouldn't really say I'm like all the way into it like that. Like, can I name some of the drivers? Yes. Do I know how many races there are per year? No. Do I know how many laps there are in a race typically? No. So, like, I mean, to see like kind of the transition from Lewis Hamilton to Verstappen, that's kind of interesting to see. I'm not gonna lie.